Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Necroxis, and I am going to give you a very special look into the new 5.2 Warlock Green Fire quest chain. Now, this starts with looting a very specific book from the monsters on the new 5.2 Isle of Thunder. You have a much higher chance of getting this book when you farm the rares. So if you're a Warlock and you haven't gotten yours yet, you might as well get used to sitting around those spawn points to grab them. I know I personally have been getting almost every single one for a good, 16 hours in total before I finally got mine. But the drop rate isn't too bad from what I've been reading, so keep the faith, you'll get it soon enough. Actually, I started the quest already before I started recording. Stupid enough of me. But basically, you get the book, and then you have to combine it with a health stone. And after you do so, you are instructed to ask your demons about the book. You're supposed to ask them where the book came from and what language it is in. Now, there are only 3 minions that will actually help you in this regard. The Imp, both the Imp and the Fell Imp are totally useless. The Void Lord and the Void Walker will tell you that they think it is from a destroyed world that the Burning Legion has destroyed. But other than that, they don't know what language it is in. The Fell Hunter, because it's basically a dog, it's a demon, has nothing to add. The Succubi and the Shivara will both tell you that the language is of the Dreadlords or the Nathrazim, but they won't tell you where it's from. So if you talk to the Dreadlord or the Void, or if you talk to the Voidwalker or the Void Lord to get the location, you can then talk to the Succubus or the Shivara to get the language. Or if you're smart enough to check, the Observer will tell you everything you need to know, because the Observers are apparently super intelligent and know tons and tons of things. So after you do that, you're instructed to come to your Warlock trainer in your city. Since I'm Alliance, this is where I am in Stormwind. You then tell them you have this book, and they will say, oh, this is very interesting. Have you ever heard of the Council of the Black Harvest? And it's basically 6 powerful Warlocks who, after Deathwing's death, decided to go look for more avenues of power instead of participate in this stupid Alliance versus Horde war. And then you're basically told to read a book on this table that just explains each member, basically. And that's what I've done, and now we have to talk back to our Warlock trainer to see what he says. I'm ready to learn more. Take this book of Jubecca Shadowbreaker, track her down, find her soul stones. So, I'm going to read this journal and see where she might be. This document contains the daily journal of one of Master Warlock trainers. The page is filled with random notes, an occasional drawing of an imp's internal organs, and the occasional tidbit of preferred diet of fell hunters. Near the end, an entry catches your eye. Day 26. It's been nearly 2 weeks since Canarathad and I arrived in Outland. Almost immediately afterwards, he departed for Shadow Moon Valley. I didn't bother to ask why, as long as he doesn't get himself killed. My research here in this dusty wasteland continues as drudgingly expected. While the Legion's onslaught has subsided, a number of the rarer demon specimens remain. The Fell Imps of Fellspark Ravine and Hellfire are remarkably chatty. I've discovered that they are just as easy to contact into service as their names are to learn. The ritual to summon one is trivial at best. Void Lords are rather difficult to stumble across, but it takes very little persuading to convince one to divulge the name of a rival Void Lord. I have wondered once or twice if Canarathad will ever return, but in the end it doesn't actually matter. The council can put me to death, so as long as my grimoires last, so will my legacy. Day 32. While I'm examining the nauseating ruins of Faralan today in Netherstorm, I was ambushed by a race of floating eyeball squids calling themselves observers. They were unexpectedly intelligent. They expressed a deep desire to bear witness to all forms of magic and were willing to offer their services in exchange for the opportunity to consume new forms of magic. The ritual to summon an observer is unexpectedly complex. While the natives of the Great Dark Beyond, they are highly migratory, and summoning rituals must compensate for their travels. Without their willing assistance, summoning an observer would be nearly impossible. Canarathad returned, this is day 35, looking incredibly grim. Considering his undisciplined technique, it should be no surprise that his research has been less than successful. I'm ready to attempt the binding of a higher order member of the Burning Legion, but I dare not attempt the ritual alone. In fact, perhaps Canarathad would be the perfect test subject. There are a lot of pages to this. Day 36. My first attempt to summon a high order of Legion failed. The Shivar broke free and almost instantly after Kenrith had completed the ritual. I expected the frail human to be struck down. In the instant that the Shivar's razor-sharp blade sliced his form, Kenrith's form shifted as the blade bounced as if striking stone. Unlike the typical form of metamorphosis, he did not complete the demonic transformation. Perhaps his research has been more successful than I expected. Day 40. The key to binding a Wrathguard was ironically reducing the number of runic symbols that are used in the summoning circle. Wrathguards are highly resistant to charms and compulsions, but readily respond to basic expressions of strength. Kenrith was unexpectedly insightful into conditioning the Legion. Kenrith was unexpectedly insightful into the conditioning the Legion uses to compel the Wrathguard into action. His ability to express his dominance over lesser demons are remarkable, if short-sighted. With great pains, I've been able to inscribe the form to use to summon multiple demonic servants at once. So, that seems to be where we as Warlocks are able to summon 2 demons at once with our Grimoire of Service. If you've been paying attention to anything I've been reading, they're basically explaining how a bunch of our different talents came to be, and it's basically because of this council. Unfortunately, he can bind 2 lesser demons indefinitely. I can only do it so for a short time. Day 47, we left a few ogre corpses in our wake, but studying the ritual circles of Vimgol revealed additional ways of bolstering our power while using demonic sacrifices. This act greatly enrages our demonic servants. Fusing their life energy to our own provides a dramatic increase of power. So, this is how we came about with the Sacrificial Pact talent, interestingly enough. With little information, I discovered the more closely linked you are with the demon you sacrifice, the greater the power of the ritual. Kenrith's ability to restrain his demonic transformation seems to have reached a plateau. Once again, his lack of power disgusts me. Things that would be trivial to most Warlocks take him an eternity. We're almost done. Day 50. At Kenrith's insistence, we headed to the Altar of Damnation in the Shadowmoon Valley. He seems to be convinced that there is more to the Hand of Gul'dan than just a show of power. I'm not convinced, but at this point my grimoires are complete. I don't understand his obsession with controlling the flow of demonic power granted by his transformation. While he plays around with ancient altars, I intend to try my hand at opening a gateway to conjure many wild imps at once. So that is obviously where Demonology Warlocks get the Wild Imps ability. Day 60. Kenrith is up to something. To say that I'm concerned about our next move is a dramatic understatement. And now the final page. A ragged note is drawn into the black cover of the journal. I'm convinced that there is no chance we will return from this next adventure alive. There's simply no way I can take the risk that my grimoires go unread. For that reason, I have contracted my imps to leave 4 fragments of my soulstone at the locations listed in my journal. I'm sending this journal to you, my trusted friend, that should the need to locate me arise, you bring the 4 stones together, find my body, and ensure my grimoires are brought back to Azeroth. Signed, Jubecca Shadowbreaker. Well, I think this will end our first part of the Look into the Warlock quest chain. We have learned how we as Warlocks are able to summon these more advanced demons. We have learned how we're able to summon 2 demons at once. We have learned how to sacrifice our demons, or how that came about. We have learned where the Sacrificial Pact came from. Basically, we've learned that the Council of the Black Harvest is responsible for the vast majority of the Warlock advancements that have been made since Vanilla WoW's story. It's interesting to say the least, especially as a lore player and a Warlock together. I'll see you guys next time, where we will find her 4, Jubecca's that is, her 4 soulstone fragments, and we will go back, and I think we're going to resurrect her. It seems like she died. But we'll find out next time. Thanks, guys. My name is Necroxis. I hope you found this video interesting. I will see you all next time. Farewell.